4, 3, 2, 1.
Whether you've been married 1 or 20 plus years, at some point you realize you married into crazy. And that's what our show is all about. If your marriage or relationship is compassionate, real, accountable, zealous and yielding, or just plain crazy, Snooks and Lovie offer love, laughter, and a dose of reality as they unpack this thing called marriage. Sit back, relax, and get your ear hustle on. It's time to start the conversation.
Welcome back to another episode of the Married into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovie.
I'm Snooks.
I am Lovie. And as always, we always start off by thanking everybody for showing up because you didn't have to, right? You have so many different choices out there. But for those of you that are brand new to the podcast, the Married into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovie is all things marriage. Mm-hmm. We talk about a lot of different things here. And we're in the process of bringing you some more subject matter experts as well as some other couples. Mm-hmm. I feel like I keep teasing them like, oh, we're going to bring them on. We're going to bring them on. They're like, where are they at?
Bring them out, bring them out, bring them out.
Exactly. People out there like, okay, well, where are these subject matter experts? We're in the process of scheduling right now. We really are. And so they're going to be coming to you like in the days of past where we bring you a bunch of different perspectives on marriage because that's what we love. That's what we talk about. Mm-hmm. We've been married
28 years.
28 years.
Don't start trying to blink and do Morse code like, oh, save me. She's abusing me.
Okay, well, but no, I will say this. Look, we had an interesting conversation. We went out with our brother-in-law and our sister-in-law this weekend. And we were talking about how in this house, I am the victim at all times.
Oh, you mean my brother, your brother-in-law?
My brother-in-law.
My brother.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, who are you talking about? Our brother-in-law. But yeah, in this house, Lovie is the self-proclaimed victim. So, there's more female than there is male, than there are males in here. So he likes to talk about there's not enough testosterone. And even though now Isaiah's with us, he thinks that Isaiah doesn't count because Isaiah is always on our side, our meaning myself, Ashanti, and Kiana. So here's the thing. We band together because Lovie can be a little bit, what right. Are you that pilot? He doesn't care about the collateral damage or whatever. He just wants the stuff done and do the way I say do it and off with her head if it's not done correctly. So
if you ever see me on the show and I'm wearing a T-shirt that says victim across the chest, you know why, right? And I'm
because he's so. I literally just told him you're the self-proclaimed victim.
Not if you have a T-shirt.
Wow. Okay. The T-shirt makes it all right then. Okay.
No, do us a favor. Go over to marriedintocrazy.com. Look at all the different things that we do to lift up your marriage. Not our marriage, your marriage.
I think it's our marriage too, because we are, like E.T. said, we are creating.
That's right.
So,
Speaking of E.T., I see you rocking E's gear, but where's your MIC gear?
Oh, the 2020. What do you mean my MIC?
The Married into Crazy gear.
It's never far from me.
Okay, I'm just saying. If you want to get your Married into Crazy gear to let everybody know how crazy your marriage is. And again, crazy is an acronym that stands for
compassionate, real, accountable, zealous, and yielding.
Yep. And right now she's yielding because I'm throwing a fit about her wearing E's gear and not ours.
Whatever.
What's funny, you'll see me. I'll be wearing some stuff from Eric Thomas. I'll wear some stuff from Married into Crazy. That's generally it. I wear our two brands because he's been such an integral part of our development, our growth. As you know, he was a guest speaker at the Married into Crazy Winter Ball and Marriage Conference. Mm-hmm. And so, very influential person on our relationship.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say enough about E.T., his character, the fact that he came and Dee Dee came and just how they spoke about marriages and the importance of it. I feel like so many people, just be real, kind of take the union of marriage for granted. We know we do the thing. We have the wedding, we throw the rice, we throw the bouquet, whatever, and, catch the garter, whatever it is. And then we kind of forget about the meaning, I'll say that, what the real true meaning of that occasion was. We get caught up in that ceremony. And then once that's over, once the dust starts to settle, because, everyone's on a high after you come from a wedding or being the groom or the bride, the dust starts to settle. And you're like, wait a minute. Whoa, you want me to do what now? Oh, I'm expected to do this. Oh, that's too much, blah, 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 whatever.
Up. Wait a minute.
It seems like that. So I just feel like we need to be more intentional. We'll always say, we're big advocates of marriage, and not just of a marriage, but thriving, phenomenal marriages. If your marriage is not, if it's just good, we want it to get to great. If it's great, we want it to be phenomenal. So.
Absolutely. And look, we mince no words about it. Everyone knows that we are Christian, and God has a very strong place. He's at the head of our household. And even when you take a look at marriage, it says from a biblical perspective, marriage is designed to be the primary human relationship. And Genesis chapter 2, verse 24 in the New King James Version states, therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. Mm-hmm. This came up for us recently because I brought to Snooks' attention, there was an article about one of our favorite basketball players, Steph Curry. Not necessarily Steph. It was more his wife, Ayana.
Aisha.
I said Ayana, didn't I?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Aisha.
Sorry, Aisha.
Got your right name wrong.
Sorry, I got Steph.
Now they ain't gonna come be guests on a podcast, and
you can come and just tell me off. That'll be cool.
You just come, right? So funny.
You're only about 90 minutes away, so I'm just saying. Anyway, no, but there was an article that talked about how she was catching flack because I don't know why I said Ayana. That's really weird. Anyway, she was catching flack because she made a comment about how her relationship, the relationship between her and Steph, comes first. Like their marriage comes first, even before their children.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm on board with that 100% because we always talk about that, and just basically what you just said, even in your reading the scripture from a biblical standpoint, we talk about God first, and then our spouses, and then everyone else comes behind them, become behind us. I feel like that is a kind of another thing where people are, I want to say misled, because that's not fair to say, but
just say it. Be controversial.
Well, no, they misconstrue the importance of the order that the children should be in.
The hierarchy. The
hierarchy, yeah. So I get it. I do get it as a mother myself. I do understand the fact that the importance of, you have a kid. What are you talking about? That's my baby. Those are my kids. They're important to me. They matter. They this, they that, whatever. But once I start putting my children above my spouse, then that's creating division between my spouse, you and I, and that's where when you got division, something can seep in, just like with the door and if it's not flush, you know how you talk about the wind coming in through the.
Oh, that's if there's a seal going all the way around it.
Yeah. So, but that's what our marriages should be, right? You and I are sealed. And if the children or one of them or whoever, they get in between that, then we're not sealed anymore. And that's letting other outside influences come in and affect the marriage.
No, I agree with that wholeheartedly. And it's not just a biblical thing. I mean, there's a philosophical component to it as well. As you all know, or maybe you don't know, Snooks and I are level 1, level 2 certified through the Gottman Institute for couples therapy. And John Gottman and Julie, they talk about this. They talk about it quite a bit. And the Gottman Institute is the foremost authority when it comes to relationships in the world. Mm-hmm. And actually, in John Gottman has a book called The 7 Principles of Making Marriage Work. And there's a thing that we talk about the concept of turning toward your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you can actually accept bids. The bids are that opportunity, that bid for attention, that bid for connection, that bid of ensuring that we're aligned, that alignment, that happens between husband and wife. And it's funny, it's through that alignment that your children are able to witness that they actually see what a good, healthy relationship is, so that they can align themselves as well. Because we all know that kids have a tendency to sit there and play parents against each other. That's just the order of things.
Yeah.
That's just the way
That's just the way it is. Yeah, children are manipulative, and they know, well, if I can't get it from this one, let me go try to get it from that one. And that doesn't make them bad people. That just means that they're learning how to work the systems.
Exactly.
And
it comes natural. But it's one of those things where when they see that you have a united front, that they start to understand, like, okay, well, it don't matter. If one says no, then the other one's going to say no too.
Exactly.
But it's not just about the wants and the needs, but it also teaches them that when I grow up and I get into that type of relationship, that we're going to be united as well. And as long as we're united, we're a strong front. We block for the rest of the family. Nothing gets past us because we're, like you said, sealed.
So, and if you, like you're talking about with making the emotional bids, so if I could maybe use different wording, because maybe someone doesn't understand that, that's like bank accounts, making deposits, making emotional deposits into your bank account. So, and your bank account is just obviously your love, yeah, what your love bank is. So if I'm making deposits, doing things, being considerate, taking you, making you priority, making sure you're taken care of, I'm showing affection, I'm being supportive, I'm building up that love bank, right? So when I need to make a withdrawal from that account, from the love bank, it doesn't go into a deficit. So if Lovey wants to go do something and I'm like, oh, okay, sure, whatever, maybe that's taken away from my bank account or my love bank, but I'm not tripping because I'm still in the positive. I have a windfall of emotional bank supply versus someone who doesn't have any of that at all. They aren't being supported at home. They feel alone. They don't feel appreciated. So their bank account, emotional love bank account, is negative.
It's withdrawn.
It's overdrawn.
There you go. Yeah. Not withdrawn, overdrawn.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's when you run into all kinds of challenges. That's when you start getting taxed, right? That's when you start paying penalties. And there are penalties that come along with that. And so let's get into this. What are some of the practical benefits of prioritizing your spouse?
Well, first of all, I think that prioritizing my spouse for myself, that makes me feel appreciated. I feel like you're a safe space. I feel like I can come to you and I can talk to you about anything. If something is bothering me, I feel like you understand. Oh, you're there. It's like I don't have to sit around, walk on eggshells. I could just be like, babe, I need a shoulder to cry on. And you're like, okay, come tell me about it. You're available. A lot of people do not have available spouses. And having someone be available, I feel heard. Those are things that are so important to other people. I could call my girlfriend, but this is my man. This is my life partner. This is who I said I do to. So if I can't have that with him or he with me, then what are we doing? Having that, having prioritization, sorry, with your spouse, that just it builds you up. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel like I can almost take on the world. It safeguards from external outside factors and even stressors. I know that I can go to you if something is going awry.
No, I agree, because what it does, it provides you with a sense of emotional security.
Yeah.
And trust. And it's funny to use your analogy of the bank, making the love deposits. You have a regular traditional savings account, right? That's nice to put money in so that you can always pull money out. But where your relationship starts to really build, where your bank really starts to yield higher dividends, if you put it into a high yield account, where it's going to actually, you put your money in, but they're actually going to provide you with, a higher yield, a higher amount of money that you're going to make on that. And I think that's when you come together and you're making these emotional bids and you're building up that emotional security and trust, where then all of a sudden the dividends start to grow that much faster.
That's true. Oh, and another thing too, because I know that we've run into this with some of the couples that we coach. When I don't feel like when they don't feel like they are a priority, jealousy can come in. So if you ain't making me feel like I'm important, who's more important than me? So who are you out with?
It's not even just a who; it could be a what.
Oh, yeah, and that's true.
It could be a what, because look, there's a lot of times where we put a lot of things before our spouse, the job, the kids, in-laws, what have you. And that's where challenges come. And that jealousy is real because it'll pop up. It'll rear its head.
I just have to say this. It is not a jealousy thing, but I'm talking about it doesn't have to be a person. It could be a thing. So I used to... I
already know where she's going. I know where she's going.
Where am I going?
Where you at, Ken? Where you at, Ken? Kindle. Little electronic book.
Wow.
Stealing all my love.
Let me tell you. I would be in the bed. I'm finally get to relax, whatever. He'd be like, "What are you doing?" I'm reading. He would take it from me. He'd take my Kindle from me and throw it. I'm like, "Bruh, what are you doing?" He's like, "You need to spend some time with me." And so I got mad because I'm like, "What the heck? You might break it or something." But then he did it again, and it was so funny because I'm like, "You're like a child right now." But that let me know, okay, he needs attention, like a little baby.
Like a little baby.
Like a little baby.
You know what? I don't want to. We have a tendency to have to compete in a lot of different areas in the world, right? In our jobs, what have you. Compete. I mean, we should be collaborating, but there's the one place I don't want to compete is in our sanctuary, in our boudoir, right? Especially with Kendall. You know, she's reading about some Rico Suave.
Oh, here we go.
Because that's all she reads is these
Rico
romance
Suave.
novels. Rico Suave.
Oh my goodness.
No, and so anyway, I'm not even going to go down that path. But one of the other things that you do is it actually helps you as you develop those bids, and you're building that alignment. Mm-hmm. It helps you come to faster conflict resolution, more positive conflict resolution.
Right. Because I feel like the space is safe. So I know that if I'm saying something, you won't take it and run with it the wrong way, or vice versa. If you say something, I won't take it and run with it. I'm safe. You make me feel safe. And prioritizing your partner can create that for you.
Right. You know, we just did a webinar for another marriage group, another marriage community. And it was talking about, what's the difference between conflict and combat in a relationship? Mm-hmm. You know, shout out to the melanated millionaires.
Married millionaires in the making.
The M4 show. Go ahead and check them out. They're a great, Devon and Sinclair are an amazing couple. They're doing great things. But we did do a webinar for their marriage community. And the reason why I bring that up is because if you have a couple that is really working on being together, being aligned, then it provides that trust that you were talking about earlier. And we're more willing to collaborate on finding positive conflict resolution as opposed to combating each other.
Yeah, I always say conflict is inevitable, but combat is optional. So,
and the only way you can make that possible is ensuring that you're placing each other at the highest level of prioritization within your relationship. If I don't feel like I'm the highest priority for my wife, I might not be as willing to collaborate on solutions, whether it be financial, emotional, spiritual, sexual.
That's true.
You know, it opens up doors for you. The more you actually make a place and prioritize your spouse, the more doors it's going to open for you, you know, in your heart, in your mind, in your soul, in the bedroom. Oh, you know, it opens up doors for you.
It's ridiculous.
But it's the truth.
It is. Go ahead.
No, and I'm saying we alluded to it earlier as well, that when you do all of this and your kids are actually watching.
There. Yep. Your kids are always watching. They are always watching. You know, the funny thing, when there are parents that have struggled with alcohol addiction or substance abuse, and then if the child turns around and they do the same thing, and people are like, oh, well, you know, that's what they saw, that's how they grew up, and we take that as gospel for that part, right? But then when it comes to having a vibrant, loving relationship, sometimes we act like it just happens by happenstance. It's like, what's being modeled for you, you know? So, and I can say, for even in our home, the kids would see how their father treats me, and they see how I treat their dad. And Ashanti
Victim.
I want that kind of relationship like you have. I want to find someone like dad. I want to, you know, and I'm like, well, you're still young. I had to really train your father. And
and I tell their boyfriends, don't grow up and be a victim like me.
He wears his victim hat when he opens the door. But no, all silliness aside, it's really a true thing that your children are watching. So what do you want to show them? What do you want them to pick up from you? You know, when we get married, this is a serious thing that a lot of times people just act like, well, if it work out, it work out. And if it don't, it don't. And because there's always somebody else out there. Or even if you're not saying that, you're just like, well, you're not. So you may not be saying that, but if you're not doing the things that need to be done or trying to be the best that you can be to make it work, then you may as well just be saying that. Because if you're not being intentional about it, it may not last. And if it does last, it's just going to be kind of mediocre. If I'm going to be in something for a long time, I don't want it to be mediocre. I want it to be thriving and alive, and, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, because if you're in something for a very long time and it's just mediocre at best, you know what we call that? A Raiders fan.
Oh my God. What's wrong with you?
That is a Raiders fan through and through. No, I'm sorry. I'm just playing. No, but it's one of those things where it's not meant to be. And I know there's people out there right now like, well, my children come first, and this is ridiculous. And if you're single with children, absolutely. Until that spouse comes along, because you're saying yes to the individual. You're saying, I'm inviting this individual to come in and co-parent with me. Now, that's hard. That is very hard. But we're talking from experience as well. Snooks does not like the phrase blended because we were never truly a blended family.
Because we're not.
But Kaylin was, I was a single parent when we met.
That don't count. He was only one.
But when Snooks came in, that is mom. That is the parent. I mean, and we had a unique circumstance. But it's one of those situations where we have to really rethink that. Go to prayer. Go to prayer. Go to God and really listen to what's being placed in your spirit.
And honestly, this is just my little personal opinion. If you have doubts about the person that you're marrying, interacting with your children, or, you know, being around them, then you shouldn't be marrying them in the first place. I'm just keeping it real. That's just my little input. If I'm doubting and I'm having reservations about them being around my kids, then
there's no place for them.
You don't need to be in my home, period. Because I never have any doubts about leaving my house and the girls are here with their dad.
She lying. There was a time
I mean, that's because he dropped Ashanti on the floor, hardwood floor, mind you. She wasn't one yet. She was 3 months old. So
she was
that.
older than 3 months. She was
not 3 months. She wasn't older than 3 months.
No, she probably wasn't. And yeah, I deserve that.
So yeah, but you know what I'm saying, though, as far as like, yeah. So
we like to give you practical steps, right? How do you do this? Okay, that's all great in theory, but how do I get there? How do I? And I'm just going to say that more times than not, we like to actually have steps for you, but here it's just a mindset shift. I say here it's a mindset shift, and it's not. For some, it's easy. For others, it's not. And I really can't tell you how to make that shift, but I will tell you it's just a decision. It's a choice that you have to make that your spouse comes first. Well, God comes first, then your spouse, then your children, and then everyone else.
Right.
And it's just really about making that decision and living by it and standing on that every single day.
But one thing that you can do for your spouse is, invest in quality time. Don't just, I got to go spend time and, to check the box. Be invested, be intentional, spend that time with them so that they know they're important. And dividends, they pay off later on. That again, back to that love bank. When your spouse, your partner sees you doing those things, making those adjustments, prioritizing them, they start, hey, let me up my game. We have a contest because we're competitive. We be like, you ain't about to outlove me. I'm gonna outlove you more. So we keep it fun like that because I like to win. So he's a victim.
I like it when she wins.
He's a victim. So
no, but that's it's not going to happen overnight. Just because today you're like, you know what, I listened to this podcast and I've read this before and I've heard it, but now it's in my spirit. And I'm going to make my spouse a priority. It just doesn't happen like that. You can't just snap your fingers and go from everybody else was a priority or something else was a priority, and then now you want to make your spouse. It's the little things like Snooks talked about. Start with, okay, you know what? How do I show them? Because actions speak louder than words. How do I show them that they're a priority?
Right.
And that could be, as simple as, let me turn the TV off and listen to what they're telling me. Let me put my phone down on the other side of the room and not be distracted when they're trying to talk to me.
Right.
Do that often enough, then it becomes easier to take the next step, whatever that may be for you in your relationship. It might be then like, you know what? No, I'm not going to go, on my weekly golf trip with the fellas. I'm going to take a Saturday and I'm going to just really stay around the house and focus on what my wife needs me to do or she's asking me to do, making her feel valued. Maybe it could be the exact opposite. It could be the wife that likes to golf and she says, oh, I'm not just picking on golfing, but whatever the hobby may be that you do consistently, that puts like, oh, that's my me time. I believe in having your you time, but it still falls within the hierarchy of, have I taken care of my responsibilities as a spouse? Have I, as a husband, as a wife? Does my spouse really know that they come first before all these other things?
Right.
Make sure that, have the conversation. Maybe it starts with a conversation. Do you feel honored? Do you feel as if you're the priority in my life? Don't be upset with the answer that you get. You might be told something that you weren't anticipating. And be open to that answer and build from there. We all need places to build from. And if you're truly honest and you really want this relationship of yours to grow, take what's said, take it as constructive criticism, and just ask, okay, how do I get better?
Yeah.
And go from there.
Easy peasy.
All right.
You're supposed to say lemon squeezy.
Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
You don't even do it right.
Well, look, y'all. Until the next time,
Be blessed.
Be blessed.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Married into Crazy podcast with Snooks and Lovie. Please like, subscribe to, and review the show wherever you access it, and tell a friend about us. Visit marriedintocrazy.com and see how Snooks and Lovie can bless your marriage directly.